My name's David Easterbrook. I started growing bonsai over 50 years ago, and I was the curator of the bonsai collection at the Montreal Botanical Garden for over 30 years. So I have a lot of experience in growing bonsai, and today I'd like to explain, if you're a beginner just starting off in bonsai, what I consider to be the 5 easiest species to grow when you're starting off bonsai. Okay, the first would be a ficus. This here is a small Ficus Bert Davii that I transformed into bonsai about 3 years ago. The Bert Davii actually originates in South Africa, and it makes a wonderful bonsai because the leaves are very small and compact. It fruits well and grows very well indoors. These trees are easy to maintain, but you have to watch out. They're tropical trees and cannot take any frost at all. So you do have to bring them indoors in winter, either into your home in a nice, bright, airy place, or find a warm greenhouse to overwinter them. This one here I transformed in a U-tube about 2 years ago. This here's a Ficus benjamina, and when I transformed it, it was in a large wooden box. So you can see the result after 2 years. Now, it has not been pruned. It's very easy to prune ficus. You just prune them back to a leaf that's growing in the direction you want the tree to grow. So they're very easy to maintain. They have very thick leaves, so they resist the dryness in your home. So it's a great starter tree if you want a tree that you can grow indoors. My number 2 pick in easiness of growth is an Elaeagnus. Okay, sometimes they call it a thorny Elaeagnus. They're a great shrub to use as bonsai, and we don't use enough of them. The leaves are thick, they resist dryness, they grow pretty well in any pH of soil. You can grow them indoors or outdoors up to zone 6. Very easy to grow. When you repot them, cut off the old leaves, and there's nothing more to it. I've always used Eliagnus in my beginners bonsai classes at our School of Horticulture to show you how much I believe in this tree as a bonsai. The bonus is they flower at this time of year. In August, September, they send out very sweet scented little white flowers that look like little bells, and they set their fruit when the tree is in dormancy, so you have beautiful red fruits during the winter. The Japanese just love them. So here is a smaller example grown from seed. The pruning also is very, very easy. You just have to let the growth mature a bit, and then when it's matured, you just cut it back to a leaf facing the direction you want it to grow. Now we're going to go from a younger tree to an older Eliagnus pungens, and this one was literally purchased in China in the 1980s. So this one here is well over 60, probably 70 years old. You can see the old trunk, the dead wood, and every year it sends out thousands of small white flowers, and it's covered with red fruit. The shape is just amazing. It's a beautiful bonsai. Standing at number 3, my choice would be Ligustrum or Privet. Privet is such an easy tree to grow. It's used as hedging material. It takes very well to pruning. It grows quickly. It buds back well. It's a member of the olive family. In the spring, it sends out wonderful, sweet-smelling flowers and also little black fruits. This here is an Ligustrum obtusifolium. They call it ibota in Japanese. It's a Japanese privet, but you can also find Chinese privets from other countries. There's many, many species that do well as bonsai. This here is a small example of a privet. It's actually an air layer from a larger tree. They're very, very easy to do cuttings of. You can just almost take a cutting and stick it in the ground and it'll root. They're extremely easy to grow. The only thing you have to watch out for is do not let them dry out too much. The pruning is so easy for a privet. You just go down to 2 leaves and cut back just to maintain the shape of this wonderful tree. They just grow so well as bonsai that I can't understand why every bonsai person, why they don't have a privet in their bonsai collection. So now moving on from the small size privets, because they do really well as mame bonsai, to a larger size privet. This is the mother plant of the smaller one here. And as I said, privets are in the olive family. So this is a multiple trunk kabudachi, a multiple trunk bonsai created from a privet in 1978, this tree here. And you can see the branches, how they grow very, very naturally, and they're so easy to prune, and they're constantly sending out suckers that I constantly have to clip off because you don't want too many suckers here. So if they do send out suckers growing straight up, you have to cut them off. But aside from that, you can almost prune them like Edward Scissorhands, like this, really, really quickly. They make great bonsai, so try to find one and add it to your bonsai collection. My fourth choice for ease of growth is the Chinese elm. Chinese elms grow extremely well. In fact, they grow like weeds. The trunks thicken up well. There's many varieties of Chinese elm, so you can have all different types. They are very, very easy to grow. They're not very demanding. Some of them will lose their leaves in the fall, the ones from northern China. If you have some from southern China, they won't lose their leaves, and maybe, it depends where you're from, you might have to bring them in and protect them a little bit. This one here is a rough bark elm from northern China. I could even leave it outside here in Montreal in the winter with minimal protection, and it'll survive our cold very well. Okay, they're easy to prune. You can actually almost prune them like as if you went to the barber's and had a haircut. And you can actually do this 2 or 3 times during the summer. And every time you do some hard pruning, they'll send out new growth, and they get more denser and denser, more and more ramified, and you can form wonderful foliage planes just by the simple fact of pruning it. As I said, Chinese elms are very easy to grow. There are just 2 things that you have to keep in mind when growing Chinese elms. The first is they're very susceptible to a fungal disease called elm black spot. The leaves start becoming yellow with little green spots. Those green spots gradually become black, and the whole leaf will become black, and even the twigs will become black, and you can actually lose your whole tree. So if you do have that on your elms, you have to treat them with a copper fungicide, or even better, a fungicide called Protect DF, which contains mancozeb or manzeb, or another fungicide that's called Zyban. If you can get your hands on it, it's the best. So you have to watch out for that. And in midsummer, in the month of August, when it's hot and dry, elms are susceptible to spider mites, okay? And you have to spray them with an insecticide that kills those spider mites. Sometimes it's hard to get your hands on it, but if not, you can spray them with horticultural oil at 1 or 2%, and soap. There's insecticidal soaps that will control the population. All right, so those are the 2 factors you have to keep in mind when growing elms. So this is very easy to prune, as I mentioned, and now we're going to go from a smaller tree to a larger one. Here we have a much older example of a rough bark Chinese elm. And as you can see, it was recently leaf pruned and is sending out its new growth, and it shows the sign of great age. The shape is typical of elms. It's not formal upright, but a very informal upright tree. This is a very easy tree to overwinter here. I can leave it outside under my growing tables, or I can bring it in my garage and overwinter it at a temperature between 0 degrees Celsius and 5 degrees Celsius, which is between 32 and about 36, 37 degrees Fahrenheit. Last but not least, my very favorite pick, if you live in a northern climate, would be Larix laricina, or an American larch, or tamarack sometimes we call it. They're extremely easy to grow. You can put them in artificial bonsai soil mixes. They're easy to collect. And also, the best thing in our climate is you can overwinter them outdoors without any protection. As long as you lower them to the ground, they can survive temperatures of minus 60 to minus 70 Fahrenheit and Celsius. So they're extremely hardy. You just have to water them well or cover their soil with snow in the winter, and they come through the winter very, very well. They take pruning very well. They'll send out, when they're pinched in the spring, they'll send out new growth, and they can be pinched at least 5 or 6 times to even now to the month of August. And every time you pinch, they ramify even more. So in a very short time, you have wonderful cloud-shaped foliage levels, okay? Now, we'll go from this younger tree that has some amazing snags, some amazing gins, to the older tree here. Now, this is a much older tree. The younger tree here was probably around 100 years old, and this older tree is about over 300 years old. Very hard to find such old specimens, even on the tundra of northern Quebec. And this one here is a beautiful example. It was collected probably about 25 years ago, and you can see the amazing dead wood that is totally natural, all this dead wood. Now the tree has been modified. They're very, very easy to bend. As you can see, this branch was too long, so it was bent back on itself to shorten the length of the branch. Apex of the tree was bent over the roots. And so all of the trunk was actually bent over it. So they're easy to bend, they're easy to wire, and they're a great tree to work with. So I would say if you live anywhere in a northern climate, at least have one larch in your collection. Larches are not only for Canadians. You can grow them well in America, Europe. You have great European larches, and even in Japan, northern Japan has, they grow great larches in northern Japan. So they're sort of pan-polar. You can find 7 different species of larch all around the world. They're very easy to prune. Generally, the new growth, you hold it at the base and pull it. But now it's getting too late in the season to do that. So I have to get in there with the scissors, push back the needles with my scissors, leaving at least 3 or 4 new needles every time. So as you can see, I'm pushing back here and cutting. I'm pushing back. If you just try to pull them, you'll pull out all the new growth, the whole candle, and if you cut them against the needles, you'll have browning. All the needle tips will brown. So you really do have to push back the needles and then cut. Very easy to maintain larch. I do this needle pinching at least 5 or 6 times, starting in mid-April, usually right up to mid-July. This season, they're even sending out 1 more new growth, which is very unusual, but it's been a very hot, wet summer here in Montreal. Remember, just because these species are easy to grow, it doesn't mean that you have less merit as a bonsai artist. These trees form great bonsai material, and you can create world-class bonsai using all 5 of these species. So go ahead, experiment with them, and I'm sure you'll have great success exhibiting them in shows and as a bonsai artist. So thanks a lot. I hope these tips will help you choose some new species of bonsai for your collection that are easy to grow.